because you were saying that did scientists actually look up close or
they figured out that although, you know, all other subatomic particles are individual,
yes,
electrons specifically are all identical.
Right, such as protons, neutrons, they are identical, or not identical.
They are not, yeah.
Excuse me.
And the other, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not tens of thousands, potentially, of subatomic particles. They keep finding new ones all the time, but
right.
The electrons are all identical, which is not true across the board.
Right.
So they've thought that perhaps the electrons are all actually the same. And the same thing.
And this is actually where I wanted to bring you in, Derek.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Because...
Good thing I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have electrons, or one electron, being in multiple places at once. This is where people can be the same, yet we are not the same, because protons and neutrons...
But of the same essence. Because if we're all lit up by that same electrical spark, that is the same spark, if what you say is true, then essentially we're all running on the same battery.
Precisely. You got it. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, exactly. This is why I think humans feel this connection to each other.
Why you can feel somebody looking at you?
Well, something like that, yeah. But you were saying earlier too, dreams. You know, like you know what's going to happen in the future. Electrons could be from the future, theoretically. You know, because they were antimatter at one point, theoretically.
Yeah.
Say it doesn't collide with matter. Say it actually just reverses time. Is that possible, do you think? Now that I think about it. Do you think that's possible? Like, it can just...
You're
matter
taking
could
a
just...
spiritual question.
I am. Because we were talking about tachyons at one point. They go faster than the speed of light. We're talking about going distances in an instant. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking a big jump. I realize that, but
hey.
I'm thinking about it. It's possible. What do you think? Is that possible? Do you think matter can change direction into antimatter without a collision, and then antimatter the other way?
Well,
I mean, especially where you
that was sort of the potentially the idea is that the collision is really what triggers the reversal, but it's not. Yeah, I guess it could potentially. You know, it would probably be seen very similarly. You know, it would. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's that familiarity that you recognize in somebody, even though you don't know them.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes, you know what I mean.
I do that a lot, actually. It's kind of embarrassing.
It happens.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just that connection. You know, we all feel like we need to be a part of society, yet some people don't, but we all feel this connection nonetheless. We have a need to be talkative with one another, but we all have individual wants as well. You know, like I want to be really good at, you know, math and programming and all this other stuff, and I'm becoming more proficient in this kind of stuff, but you know, I have no idea how to speak most of the time. I can't talk. I'm surprised I have a show in the first place.
You do well. You do well.
Well, thank you, but you know...
I was sitting here thinking actually a second ago before we got started, I'm going, he's so much more comfortable than I am right now.
It's because I've done this a while now.
Yeah, you have.
But, well, you have a show anyway.
Well, I'm on stage all the time. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like, I'm used to being up here with the lights and everything, but...
Right.
I was a little bit nervous. Well, before we get started here, I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm like, I don't know.
But it becomes natural after a while.
It does.
It's like a second nature to me.
Yeah.
But
just need fans in here, that's all.
Oh, jeez, yeah, it's hot in here. Hey, it's hot in here.
We take donations.
Right. And yeah. Anyway, so
sponsorship. We'll talk later.
But what do you think? Do you think that is a feasible connection? Actually, both of you. That's a good point. Do you think that's a logical connection, or just really out there?
I think it makes sense. You know, because there's this whole scientific realm of thought,
right,
and there's this whole spiritual realm of thought. Well, ultimately, isn't that a duality in and of itself? That whole this and that, when really it's all in existence, you know. So, and if perception is reality, then it's all happening at the same time. It's all real. So I don't see how there couldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, we have this feeling. Some people don't even want to kill bugs, you know. But you know, there's the idea of murder is wrong. Why? Because society says so. No, none of us want to be killed either. It's kind of the, you know, double-edged sword type of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what this physical world is the dualistic realm.
So
the black and the white, the light and the dark. That's what this plane of existence is.
yeah, there you go. Well said. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to this. There's also gravity. Gravity can attract and, you know, detract in a way sometimes.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's...
What was the initial thought there? Because I heard there was a change there where everyone thought it was initially pulling.
There was that suggestion. I mean, that's really like back from Newton's time.
Right.
He sort of came up with the idea of gravity, but it was sort of thought that it was a purely, you know, attractive force, almost the same way that, you know, magnetism works.
Yeah.
But what Einstein actually figured out through his theory of general relativity, in general relativity he described sort of the shape of space-time, you know, and that idea that has now sort of been thought of as the membrane,
Right.
which, you know, the membrane can be distorted. You know, it's a two-dimensional, almost like a sheet that everything kind of exists on or floats directly above or whatever, but it's, you know, all matter and energy in the universe is distorting the space-time around it. And what happens is that kind of creates, you know, dips and, you know, ripples and things like that. And that's sort of what gravity is. It's the distortions of space-time. You know, if you think about, if you had a sheet that you stretched out and you placed some sort of heavy object like a baseball or something in the middle of the sheet, it kind of creates the dip.
Gotcha.
And that's the distortion, if you will.
Pushing down the...
Yeah. And it creates the most significant dip right next to it. You know, it doesn't create a uniform dip. It pushes it further down right next to it. And what happens is, you know, if you rolled some sort of other smaller ball towards it, like, you know, like a ping pong ball or something like that, so that it would just go right by it, as it goes by, it gets caught sort of in that dip, and almost basically orbits it. You know, almost, or the same way, you know, you'd see a coin go around,
Right.
You know, something circling a drain, for example.
Yeah. Like that donation thing they have.
Exactly.
Where you pop it
Yeah.
on top of it.
Yeah, that's the same concept of gravity. And then the reason why, you know, things like our planet doesn't just get sucked right into the sun, or, you know, down the drain, if you will,
Right.
is because of the expansion that's going on in the universe.
So we're just staying put
Simultaneously.
because...
Yeah.
Because the force that's pulling the sheet
The force
is
Yeah.
also happening
the
at the same
expansion
time.
of the universe is
that
pulling
something is pushing on it.
everything away from it, you know, everything else
Just
in
like
equal
science and
directions all at the same
spirituality,
time.
man. It's all happening at the same time.
I do want to make a connection here as well with the body. I mean, basically, in this sense, we see that, you know, this, say, extra dimension is creating this gravitational pull or whatever, and
Or push.
both light, you know, light is pushing it and then pulling it back in a way, you know, gravity, never mind. So, but all of this, yeah, I know. But let's put it this way. Let's say we have a heart, okay? A heart's beating, all right? It has no idea what's going on in the rest of the body, but the body's working fine. You know, it's almost like we don't know what's going on in these 11 dimensions, but we do know what's going on in the 4 here. So I see
At this
that...
particular junction,
Go ahead.
we don't know.
Oh,
Wait till you move on. Maybe things will change.
yeah, say in about 500 years or something.
Who knows?
But, well...
When you enter a new plane of reality.
But I mean, think about that. I mean, it's all working together, you know, and in a way, you see.